Ketika persaingan global kini yang semakin meningkat dan ekonomi yang kian berubah dengan pesat, rakyat Singapura kita perlu memperolehi kemahiran baru supaya kita tidak ketinggalan. Justru, pemerintah akan memperuntukkan kredit tambahan Skills Future berjumlah $500 untuk setiap warga negara Singapura berusia 25 tahun ke atas untuk meningkatkan kesediaan diri dan kemahiran industri. Oleh itu, dalam episod kali ini, kita ingin menghargai dan mengiktiraf apa yang telah dikecapi dan dipelajari oleh para belia kita yang membuat mereka individu yang lebih bersedia dan matang bagi menghadapi cabaran baru ekonomi pasca COVID-19 ini. Ayuh kita selami hasrat, impian dan bidang yang dicuburi belia kita. Bilik Kaca at Keat akan menemu ramah seorang belia yang memulakan perniagaan pelancongan eco. Di masa yang sama, beliau juga giat menyumbang sebagai seorang sukarelawan. Kita juga akan mendengar daripada seorang guru agama yang menghadapi pelbagai cabaran hidup untuk mendalami ilmu ukhrawinya, dan seorang guru prasekolah juga yang berkecimpung dalam bidangnya dan berusaha untuk mencapai perubahan pemikiran dalam masyarakat kita. Akhir sekali, kita akan mendengar sebuah perkongsian oleh seorang belia yang menceburi muzik digital dan menebar sayapnya bagi mempelajari bidangnya, tidak mengira peringkat usia apa jua pun. Setinggi-tinggi terima kasih saya ucapkan pada semua belia atas perkongsian pengalaman mereka dalam rancangan ini. Sila menonton.
Cindy leads a team to create a high-impact partnership to benefit the communities they serve. She's the winner of the Asian Youth Award and the first recipient of the Commonwealth Government of the Government of Singapore. She's also an active grassroots volunteer and was awarded the Public Service Medal, Community Devotion Medal in 2020 in recognition of her contribution by the President of Republic of Singapore. Hey Cindy, good morning to you.
Morning.
How are you today, man?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I really like the fresh air here at Choa Chu Kang Park. Feeling good.
Welcome to Bilik Kaca at Keat.
Thank you.
Alright, I think
Thanks
before
for
we
having
start, you want to have a sip of tea and some kuih. This is traditional kuih, we can see here.
Yeah.
This is called onde. I believe this is donut. Right? And this is the Malay curry puff, which called the epok-epok.
Yeah. That's what I was
You want to have a sip first before we have a bit of refreshment before we start.
Sure. Yeah, we'll just chill and okay, cool. This is my breakfast, just nice.
You know what? I've been observing you that you will always have this a cheerful look on yourself. You know, you have this positive look. You know, what is the happy pills that you take every morning? You know?
I think it's just being very grateful. Yeah, I think just being very grateful for the things that I have around me, like my family, even like people like yourself, right? People that I work with in the community.
Wow.
I think there's a lot of things to be grateful for. Yeah, so I think that's what keeps me happy. And I always want to stay with people who are very positive as well. I think that's very, very important.
True.
Yeah.
So I believe that the one that you mix up with is the most important thing. Right? If you mix with a positive, surroundings, it will be, it will come back with a positive product in a way.
Yes,
right?
And I think just want to also say that it's actually very normal to feel sad or even have like things that are very challenging, right? I think in life there is always challenge, right? But I mean, whether is it challenging or bad, right? You still have to go over that situation, right? So I think being positive in going through those difficult times is more helpful, right? Because anyway, be it you want it or not, you have to go through that circumstance and situation, but how you face it and how you approach it, right, can result in a very different outcome. Because the way you decide things, maybe you'll be more calm. If you're positive, right? If you are worried, then of course it also affects your decisions. Yeah. So I think for me that's where, for me I just like, okay, don't worry, be happy, right? Yeah. No matter
that is
what comes, just let it be.
That is a slogan, right?
Yeah. Don't worry,
be happy. Remember? Everyone will say that.
Yeah, correct. And it's very true. It's very true. Because I would just tell my friends, don't worry, it's okay, you know.
Because
like,
everything will have a solution.
Yes,
right? Every problem will have a solution.
There are different ways to solve it, right? It may not be the best, but we will learn and we'll grow. And I think more importantly, sometimes it's also good to fail. Yeah, even my own journey in life, you know, it has not always been so positive, right? Because I think maybe also why I'm positive is because I've gone through things that are challenging. You know, right, when you actually have gone through tough things, then you will better appreciate. Like, because if life is too smooth, then you'll just like feel like it's normal, right? Life needs to go like up and down, then have a lot of excitement. Then when you're feeling like that down, then when you're like able to go up, then you'll feel happy.
True.
Then you continue to go up. Then after that, there will be a time where you need to come down a little bit, right? Like,
I mean, we are humans.
Yes.
Right? We are not robots. No?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's ups and sometimes there's downs.
Yes.
And I think I believe that, my mentor always says that when things happen, you will learn something.
Yes, definitely.
Right? Yeah, then you will improve on that. I mean, do you agree with that in a way?
I agree, because for me, I enjoy learning. My way of learning is not really by reading. Like, actually, I never finish reading a book. You know, like, I always find it so difficult to finish reading a book. Like, I think I'm someone who likes to do, so I like to learn while doing.
Yeah.
So you're right? So it's like you definitely learn something, and it's in the doing and when the things happen. And nobody knows how to do everything from the start, right? I mean, we don't know how to walk, we don't know how to drive, right? You need the time and you need to build that experience, right? So when you experience something, you actually learn and you grow, and that's for me. So it's always been very encouraging because maybe when I was younger, like people don't really stop me from doing things, right? And then
talking about youngers, how's your childhood? What is your learning like during your childhood time? You know, that kind of thing.
Okay, in my childhood, I'm the only child in the family. So
wow, so pampered?
Yes. Actually, I'm very, very pampered at home.
All right.
Yeah, so I think a lot of times, I think those people who know me will know like my parents are really very loving. Like I will go out like to do all the things, right? So when I'm out in the community, I'm always serving, right? I'm like so active, doing everything. Yeah. But at home, right, actually my parents do everything for me.
So it's all prepared for you in a way.
Yeah. So my parents always joke lah. Like my mom will say that she's my maid, right? And then like my dad is my driver. Yeah. So like I mean my parents are just very sweet in the sense that this is their way of expressing their love. So my parents are actually very simple, right? They are not very educated in the sense that my mom is just primary school educated. My dad finished secondary school and he was Chinese educated. So it was very hard for him to like, really speak English, and there's sometimes he's an introvert, so it's very hard for him to kind of really feel confident going out. So, but in that kind of environment, they taught me very good values in a sense that, they never really limit the things that I do. They never like say that, to me, actually, they appreciate education a lot because they couldn't get the education because my mom had to take care of like many siblings because she's the older of the family.
I see.
So there's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
And she'll tell me like, how she has to do housework for the whole family, the whole day, like at night. And then when she go to class, she will be sleeping in class.
Wow.
And then like she will
too tired.
Yeah, she'll wish that she can actually have education. So to me, that inspired me when I was young. So my childhood, my mom actually had to work at night, night shift. My dad works in the day. So they took turns to take care of me. So I saw my parents working very hard, right? And I really felt right, oh, okay, wow. Like, so I was very good. I don't want to disturb them, try not to create trouble, but one child also hard to create any trouble. Maybe you have siblings, then you quarrel, you'll fight, but okay, only child, so very guai, stay at home.
Yeah. So at one time you'll be left with your mom or your dad, right? In a way, because both of them have different shift of work. in a
Yes,
way,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Then how do you, that time, how do you express yourself? To your parents when there are things that you have some difficulties to share, because you're alone, right? You're alone in the house, you're alone in the family, you're the only child.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
do you express yourself to any of your problem to them in a way?
Actually, I think when I was young, I was always having that impression, right, that, don't want to trouble my parents. So I must say that, I'm very good, right? I try to be very obedient, right? But honestly, I think it was also, I felt hard to share or communicate with my parents about my difficulties because
Okay.
like you or maybe it's our culture, right? We always want to tell people the good things, but then we hide the difficult things inside us, right? So I think growing up, I also didn't really know how to share my challenges. So very much, I think.
Do you feel frustrated during that? When you keep to yourself too long, right? I'm just being transparent here that when you see other parents, other families, hey, they have their parents with them, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's always with them, but then for yours is different.
Yeah.
Right? You are alone sometimes. So
Yeah.
how do you feel in a way?
I think
And how you overcome that?
when I was young, actually, I was very scared of my mom.
Oh, okay.
My mom has this, she has this very fierce look, right? So the first time you kind of like, as a kid, right, if you see her, right, you're quite scared, like, you think that she'll scold and then like she will not tahan the very little things, like, so you must be very well behaved, right? The
I mean, all
must like
moms
follow
like that,
the
that kind of
rules,
thing.
right? So I was kind of like, actually when I was young, I was closer to my dad, like, because like when I was in primary school, like, because my dad was with me more because my mom was working night shift.
I see.
Yeah, so I think it was nice lah because my dad actually, maybe like from a father kind of parenting style, they don't really bother so much, right? But then like if there's anything that I need help, like not really in terms of the emotional part, but if there's anything that I need to ask my dad to help me, he will help me for sure. And then it's not like I don't really have that fear like approaching him to ask for help lah, right? But I think in terms of the emotional part, I think maybe that is where I felt like, oh, okay, I need to have a lot of friends. So I think while you are at home, so I think it gives me that personality where then I actually go out to have a lot of friends. I am quite extroverted, like in comparison to my parents. So I will like find friends lah, and then like I mean my friends probably I can be more open to them than my
Yeah.
parents sometimes, because you feel like you don't want to like worry your parents like.
So you share who do you go with, that come to your parents because you are the only flower, you're the only
True,
rose
true,
in the
true,
family,
true.
right?
So I think I was very good in the sense that like I think obedient, right? So I kind of built that trust with my parents. Yeah. So I think growing up, then my parents trusted me, and then of course I will tell them who I go out with, and then they will like let me do the things. Although I was the only child, yeah. So I think that was really very good in that sense that I made a lot of friends. And I mean, be in the community or like be in school. So I was very active, all the school activities, and I
Okay.
really enjoyed all that.
So you involve yourself mostly in with your friends or outside activity to overcome all these borders. Can I say that way?
Yeah. I mean, like
Right.
staying at home can be quite boring. But so when I was in primary school, I stayed at home most of the time, lah, right?
Which primary school? Did you
I was in Choa Chu Kang Primary School.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, my mom works in the night shift, right? So she will actually send me to school and then she'll pick me up. But then she'll be sleeping most of the time. Then I will do my homework. Then when my dad comes back, yeah, then my mom goes to work. Yeah, so that has been the life in primary school lah. So just focus on studying and just don't trouble my parents.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that they are working hard,
Yes.
for the upbringing of their kids, especially you.
Correct,
that are
correct.
in this
Yeah.
situation in a way.
So I actually, because of that, I'm always very appreciative of my parents because I know that it's not easy to have an education, and then I always felt like, okay, hey, then I need to just do my part and do
Yeah.
well. So I would say like for primary school, I studied very hard.
Yeah.
I think that's the time of my life that I studied the hardest. after that, I never really studied already.
So you score well in your PSLE then?
Yeah, PSLE I did well because I really got studied. After that, I never really studied. Seriously, because after primary school, right, then all the time I spend is doing a lot of things. But I learn, I enjoy learning, and I think that was really nice for me as a change lah. Because when I was in primary school, you know, my primary purpose was I am very appreciative of my parents for what they give me, and I needed to study hard. And then going to secondary school, right, I think I was glad that I found a new sense of purpose, right? Like, because life is so exciting, so many things to explore. So my school gave me a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things. Then I learned.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was good for me.
Well, hearing from you that you are so, you are so into all these activities. You know, you're very hyper.
Oh yeah.
During your childhood.
Extremely hyper. Yeah. So when I was in secondary school, I was like the cheerleader lah. So
what CCA did you join at then?
Okay, I was in badminton and I was student council. Yeah. So student
play
council.
sports, right? You know,
yeah, correct. So actually, I also play soccer. Like
wow, you play soccer in the girls' team? Do you have a girls' team?
In secondary school, there was no girls' team, but our teachers taught us how to play soccer. So we would just play, and I really enjoyed this sports, and I continued to JC. But actually, in secondary school, I was always running around the school. I was like the cheerleader lah. So I would rally the school and say like, you know, like, school, are you ready? Okay. And then like we'll do the cheer when the sports team go for competition. So I mean, to me, I enjoy, and I think that's why, you know, I'm very hyper, running around the school.
Great. What is the value that you instill from your parents? You know, what is the takeaway that you learn all the ways from primary school, you know, up them to secondary school and up to the JC, right? So what is the value that you take from them?
Okay, I think my parents are very simple, right? And I think they taught me the value of being contented with things that are very simple in life. Because, my parents are, you know, primary school and secondary school educated, right? But that did not stop them from achieving the things that they want in life, right? And just taking the things that they have, right? So they're just very contented. And to me, I think that is really helpful, because then that didn't give me like that pressure. Because when I actually went to, like, for example, a good secondary school, they were already like very happy. Like, because to them, they weren't able to, so they were always very contented. They never really, like, you know, give me pressure, like, you know, you must do very well, like, in school, because
so they are flexible, can see that anyway.
They never give me pressure at all. They never check my results.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was
they trust on you.
They trust on me because only in primary school they very fierce lah, because they feel like I must have the good foundation.
Yeah.
But then when I went to the good secondary school, right, they never gave me any pressure. They never check my results. So which is very good, because I really enjoyed doing all those things that I was doing, right, like you said, right. So to me, I think they taught me, they were really nice in the sense that they taught me that, you know, to be contented lah with what you have, and with every little thing, right. I think it's a lot of things to be happy about. Because so when I went to secondary school, to them it's like, wow, it's great, you go to a good secondary school, right.
So they always motivates you in any way, or support you in any activities that what you say that you are so active in?
I think their biggest form of support is really always being there in that sense, because my mom, she felt like she you know, because she was doing night shift, very hard to spend time with me, right? So she felt like, you know, in secondary school, she decided to stop working so that she have more time with me. Yeah, so I think when she have more time with me, then they are always there lah. So, you know, I think parents being parents, right? When your kids is doing something, right, you always want to see how you want to help them, right? So I mean, I was very active in doing all these school things, right? So for example, when I have a project in school, right, and let's say if I need to find some tablecloth, I need to do a setup, you know, my parents will like tell me, okay, you can go and buy this from this place, and then they will bring me there and teach me like, oh, okay, if you want to buy like cloth in like the full stretch, right? Because last time I was in the cheerleading team, right? We have to create banner. So we cannot print last time, you know, we really had to paint paint our own banner. So very much my parents would teach me like, go to this shop to go and buy the cloth, and then you can buy by the meter. And then you must buy this kind of paint, right? Because if you don't buy this kind of paint, then you will not
You won't
stay.
stick to the
And then like I'll tell them that okay, we need to create this, right? How do I make this, right? So my parents will actually help me in this, and it's not like like, why are you doing this? Shouldn't you be studying? So they won't say this kind of thing. So to me, like I think that was really great, because whatever I do, they will support me, and they never really ask much about my results, because
They trust you, I guess.
they trust me. So that was really very good.
And the result is all good, right? Of course it's good,
The
right?
result was good and bad at times, but my teachers are the one that were more worried about my result than my parents. So my teachers were always the one that, hey, please, can you submit your homework? Can you please study? Like, okay, so I did study for my exam, and I did well, thankfully, for
So
my.
besides, assessing you from the bad scene, right? Do they come in, when there is a performance or any activities that they come into school to see you in a way? Is there any occasion that they come in?
Okay, so my parents were always very supportive, right? So when I was volunteering in the community, when I said that, can you help? Because when I was young, I cannot drive, right? So I started a recycling campaign for Keat, right? And then like my dad would then help me to drive the lorry. So that is like how they help me lah.
How do you feel when you see your parents is, working together with you? What is your impression for that? That kind of thing.
Okay, honestly, when I was young, right, sometimes you take it for granted. Really, at that point of time, right, it was just, okay, when I was young, I was very motivated because my parents had a tough life. And then as you grow, like secondary school, right, I must say that I took things for granted. You're too comfortable already, like my parents give in so much to me. I just accept without thinking that, wow, they're actually giving so much. Honestly, that is how it's like. Now it's like I look back and I know why I appreciated them. But at that point of time, I'm like, okay, wow, like whatever I need, right, I just tell my parents. But sometimes it's really like very bad lah, right? You just like, or at like last minute, like, so my parents always scold me, right? Like, why you always so last?
No, even though they did nag, but they will still carry on. They'll grant your request.
But also that was when, if I look back at that point of time, then not so appreciative lah. Take it for a bit for granted lah. Yeah. So that was me.
So what do you think that your generation, during your parents that time, and the current generation parents, do you think that they have to do that kind of supportive in a way?
That's quite interesting. Like, I feel that my parents were okay. So to them, they felt like they do not know how to best support, right? Because they felt like when they were in their time, they have like many big family, big siblings, and then actually they were the ones who had to take care of their own siblings, right? But then like my time is like, wow, actually we have a lot of things. It's all the attention on one child. But my parents not going through that kind of education the same way that we did, right? They were also not very sure what was the best way. So, but I think what I really thankful for my parents, right, is that then they don't over control. Yeah, they were always there, but then they won't like kind of like, I would feel like when you're growing up as a teen, right, you start to feel like a bit like rebellious. Like as a teen, you kind of feel like you know a lot. Like you always feel like, oh, like your parents is like, wow, old generation, like
outdated.
They never go through the same thing. Like they shouldn't like interfere too much.
So when we go teenagers time, we feel that we know a lot of things before we go to school. We
know more than our parents because our parents go through different time.
Yeah.
So I think what was good was that my parents actually never control like, and then they just support like in whatever they want to do.
So basically, the young parents should practice that kind of good relationship as such that to support, whatever or your children wants, and be there
Correct.
when they need.
Yeah.
Right?
And also, I think it's not overprotecting also, like in a sense that you don't want to give them too much, and you also need to let them be independent and grow. Yeah, so my parents were quite interesting, like to some extent, when I'm outside, right? Because I think they don't like to hang out outside. They are not extroverted, right? So they will just let me do my things. But then when I come home, when I say I need something, they will help me. Yeah. So I think I had a bit of a both. Like I go out and explore. I like to do new things, explore new things. And then when I come home, I'll always have that support.
That's nice.
Like someone to call out SOS, like tomorrow I need to do this.
And I think they're mentally prepared that my daughter is this.
When I come home, they will be like, then I was like, like when I go to my parents and if I need to ask them for something, right? You will kind of call them out in a certain way. Then they'll be like, yes, what happened again? Like, what do you need again? Like,
hey, our tea is getting cold. Let's have a sip.
Sure.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Cindy, I heard that you involve yourself in ecotourism business during your university days.
Yes, that's right.
Why? Why must you do business during your studies?
Okay, so it was very interesting, right? Because when I was in secondary school, I went to Chiang Mai when I was in secondary 4. So that experience transformed me and how I see things, right? Because for 14 days, you were living in a kampong, right? No electricity, no water. And we were there to actually build a water tank. So actually it was very interesting because
it's a school project, right?
It was a school project. I learned a lot, and that was like kind of like the project that inspired me, right? Because I feel like, wow, in Singapore you open the tap, you have like water running, right? You take it for granted. Like you never think about where the water comes from, and you never think about, oh, will the water stop one day, right? But when we were in the village, right, there were a lot of us. So we halfway through the trip, right, no water. And then it was in the evening time, right, where everybody was supposed to shower, and then suddenly, like, some people are still in the toilet, the soap still there, then suddenly, the
water just cut off.
The water just cut off. And then we were like, oh wow, water can get cut off. And then, like, we were like, how? Like, suddenly you never think about, like, wow, like
what happened if...
there's
in Singapore, everything is ready. So you never think the word if.
You never think the word if. So, okay, only at that point of time, right? Then we were like, okay, the people who are in the toilet, they really very funny lah. But luckily, I was not the one in the toilet.
Okay.
But we have to wait like about 2 hours, before, because we were working with the local people, right? So they had to drive those jeep down, and then they had to really buy those like big gallons of water, right? And then transport up. So you have to go down the mountain and then come up to bring us water.
Okay.
So to me, that was like, wow, I never knew that, I mean, we all grow up, right, and can be born into different family, different environment. But then, at that point of time, we were thinking that, wow, like, in Singapore, we are really blessed to be born into this place where we don't really have to think about all this, right? Very basic things, right? And that's that inspired me in doing ecotourism, because I felt like I wanted to do more for the people who are in the developing countries, in the rural community. And when I was there, right, because Singaporeans are very city, right? I actually really enjoyed my time in Chiang Mai, right? Things were very peaceful. 14 days, no electricity, right? But you can see the stars. You never thought that, you can actually see the stars so bright. And things were very simple. And you don't have a proper bed, no need aircon because it's natural.
It's more day-to-day basis.
Yes, it's a day-to-day basis, and no aircon, but it's natural aircon. In the mountain, so it's very cool. It's very cool. Yeah, so that experience felt like, okay, if I'm in Singapore and I have these opportunities, what can I do for these people who are in the developing countries. And when I was in JC, I started to bring more friends to go overseas. And I went to Phuket, right? Because when I was in Sec 4, there was the Boxing Day tsunami. So a lot of people were affected by the tsunami. And I actually mobilized my school to raise funds for the people in the tsunami. And then after I graduated from secondary school, I felt like I wanted to do more. So it was very interesting. I just called, last time, right, we were taught to open Yellow Pages
Correct.
and newspaper.
Yeah, we have to check manually.
Yeah,
in a way, right?
no Google, right? Yeah, so I just literally Yellow Pages, right? Then I find like the Thai embassy. I remember I opened the Yellow Pages, I find the Thai embassy. I called the Thai embassy. I said that, I'm a young person, I want to help. Then the Thai embassy really gave me the contact number of my mentor, who actually linked me up to the community that was most affected by the tsunami.
Okay.
And I started a lot of work, because of this, working with the rural communities. And I just felt like it's not sustainable, right? If I just go and help for short term, right? We need to create some form of job or livelihood for these people. So to me, ecotourism was a concept that I learned from young people because I was representing Singapore to ASEAN when I was in JC. So, I mean, if I were to look back, right, if my parents were not like really that, let me do everything, I wouldn't have all these opportunities to do all this in school. And then after that, represent Singapore to the ASEAN.
Yeah.
And then I got all these ideas speaking with ASEAN youths. And then they were like, okay, ecotourism is a good way because you create income for the rural people. And then at the same time, you protect the environment, right? And then I was like, oh, wow, that's like a great idea. And then when you're young, you never think too much. I never start business before, but I also never think too much. But I guess maybe because when I was young, my parents just let me do whatever. They never stopped me. And then I'll start a business.
During that uni period,
In my first year in business, in my first year in business school, I studied business school. So I decided to start the company because the government was very supportive. They changed the rules. Last time you need to be 21 to register a business.
Right.
But they encouraging youth entrepreneurship, right? So they changed the age to 18. So when I was 19, I feel like, hey, wow, great. Now the government changed the rules. It's a great timing. Then I'm studying in the business school, right?
so it's linked in a way.
Yeah, I feel like, and then, okay, the reason is also because I choose the course because I know I kind of have a feeling that I want to do this.
All right.
So I major in tourism and hospitality, so
Wow,
eco-tour, right?
okay.
And then I minor in entrepreneurship. So I learned how to start a business. So to me, learning was great. Like going to school was fun. Like because when I go to the class, like I will ask teacher about, how do I do this? Because I want to do this for my business. And then like after class, then I will work on my business.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when I go to every class, I will ask my friends, because they are my teammates, right? Okay, let's do it on my business. I give my company as a case study. So from every subject, from accounting,
It's all based on your...
it's all based on my company. It's as if like I have a team of people to do my operation management, to create the marketing plan,
Alright.
accounting. Yeah, so everything was based on my business. So it was very fun. And the school was also very supportive. I had an office space in school.
Wow.
So I was like, again,
See, there's another support for you.
spend all my time in school. In the morning, go to class, and after that, like afternoon, continue my business. And I'm very appreciative of my parents because I would say that I'm not from a very rich family, but they always provide for me, so much so that they also don't give me the pressure that I must go and find work. And I didn't really understand that until I became a lecturer, the later part of my story, right? And then I see that a lot of my students actually have to work part-time, But I did do some part-time when I was younger, before I started the business. I was teaching tuition. Yeah. But in a sense, my parents never give me the pressure that I needed to support the family. Yeah. So I'm very thankful because they felt like they weren't able to do what they want to do because when they were young, they had to take care of the family.
Yeah.
They have to do so much for the family. So when it comes to me, they just let me do. They don't give me the pressure like, hey, like why are you not? You finish JC, right? You should start earning money for the family. No, they didn't give me that pressure. They never gave me that pressure. It was good, but it was also bad in the later part of my journey.
So what is the challenge, during your business and to link together with your studies?
There was not really a challenge. Again, my parents didn't check my results. So,
lucky, man.
so honestly, right, Kiki, I don't think my parents will watch this, but anyway, the thing is, okay, so I actually so active, right? So I was running my business. So my business is travel. So I have to bring people to travel. So
How many people that you bring in a group?
I bring schools, so I actually bring Singapore students to like Thailand, to Vietnam.
Okay.
And of course, I'm actually a student. I have exams, but then there are some times like I may actually prioritize my business over my exams.
Yeah.
So actually, maybe I would actually. Okay, you're young, you never think too much about the consequence.
Yeah.
So to me, at that point of time, my business was important, my clients were important.
Yeah.
So I prioritized that, meaning that I would, let's say if I have a trip that I need to go and I have been doing so much work and the teachers trust me, they will be worried if I don't go, right?
Correct.
But that is me being very young, I didn't know how to delegate. I've not really created a structure for business.
So you're committed to that, right?
Yeah,
You're committed to the job task.
yeah, correct. So for me, then I had to go for the trip. That was what I feel. But that was then. I mean, being young, you also make mistakes. So this is one of the things that I made mistake, right? And then I will go, but that means I will miss my exams. That means I don't go for my exams. So I'm someone who can go for all the class and very active in class and let my teachers do my project about my company. But I don't go for the exam, right? And then I can fail the subject because if you don't go to the exam, you confirm fail the subject. So I think that time my friends would think that I'm quite crazy because a bit too extreme. But it's okay. I repeat my subject again. Yeah. So I would repeat some of these subjects, and thankfully at the end of the day I passed. So that I literally just passed, so that I can get the certificate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. So to me, it was really about learning as I was doing, not so much about the results. I care more about the journey, the process.
Yeah. So again, it's a learning process, that's what you say.
Yeah.
And you gain something from there.
And of course, I made my mistake To be honest, if I look back, right, I mean, where I am now, right, I wouldn't do the same kind of thing. I would, have more staff, and then they would be the one that will be in charge of the project. I do not need to be there all the time.
Yeah.
But I think being a young entrepreneur, you always feel like you need to be there for your business all the time. And you do not know how to manage, right, and prioritize. I mean, of course, if I look back at that point of time, I didn't have to always sacrifice my exam to go for all these trips.
I believe you have to balance it up, right? But then you can't balance because you're always overseas.
Yeah.
Right?
And then, of course, at that point of time, still young. You do not know, you're still learning how to manage your time. How do you manage your employees, right, your staff, your
And
team.
being young, we always assume things that you are able to cope.
Yeah.
Right?
And then you feel like, you can do everything. You just do it. You never think too much of the consequences.
Yeah.
So much so that, after that, then I'm like, wow, actually very tough. Every time I have to go for the trip, right, then I have to retake a whole module from start to the end.
That starts to realize something.
Then I'm like, oh shit, okay, now it's okay. For my business, it is good. So actually things were going very well. But you will realize that when things are going well, right, there will definitely be a time that it needs to go down. Yeah, like life is never always
Constant.
smooth sailing.
Yeah.
There must be a little bit of a up and down. Then it will be more exciting.
Hey, I'm excited with your business, back then. When you were in Laos, right?
Yes.
What are the challenges that you face it there, compared to our country? So when you go there, is there any challenges or anything that you come across?
Yeah. So it was definitely challenging for me. But I was very idealistic as a young person, right? So it was actually very interesting because I was bringing students to Vietnam, Thailand, and I was growing my confidence in my understanding of the region. I thought I knew, and the only time that I realized that I really didn't know is when I actually moved myself to base myself in Laos. So when I
How long?
1 year, yeah. I graduated from university, right? And then instead of going to find a job, and luckily my parents didn't pressure me lah. Then they were like, okay, what do you want to do? They never, okay. So to me, it was very interesting because I thought that, when I was in school, there's no pressure because, you know, for them, it's like they want me to get my degree, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
as long as I get my degree, they will be happy lah. So they didn't really, again, put pressure on me as long as sometime I'll graduate, right? So I thought that maybe when I graduating, right, they will put the pressure on me and say that maybe it's time for you to find a job lah. But they didn't again. So I think that was very, very good. However, of course, when I was given all these things and feeling so good about this business and all, you are still young. There are a lot of things that you still do not know about the world. So I had such an idealistic view, right? Then I feel like because Singapore market was very small, I wanted to expand the business. So as a young person, I already feel like, wow, okay, I need to expand the business.
Yeah.
So I expand the business, right? But I do not know how to choose the country lah. So I chose Laos. But I really love Laos because of nature. It's really, really very beautiful. I brought some students there and I just enjoyed the peace that is brought by the environment.
Yeah.
It was not developed, right? In the sense that things are very basic, right? So it really is very authentic. The culture is real. And to me, that was great for ecotourism because ecotourism was about understanding the local culture. It's about, protecting the environment.
Yeah.
And to me, I was very interested in Laos because that was before the government was contemplating whether they want to build the dam. And a lot of international environmental organizations were championing for other ways that the country can create livelihood. And one of the income that, they were trying to promote is tourism. Because Laos has such a beautiful natural environment. There's a lot of potential. So I was excited by that and I said that, okay, let's go to Laos. So I actually, as a young person, not much experience, I go to Laos. It was very, very challenging. In Singapore, everything that you want to do is very straightforward, right? You go to the agency, you call, they will tell you the steps from A to Z.
Yeah.
And then you just need to follow.
Yeah.
And you just need to produce the documents, right, as you need to. But when in Laos, it's not straightforward.
Why?
In a lot of these developing countries, the rules may not be very established, right?
see.
And there are a lot of things that, even if you were to submit, even if you were to pay the fees, right, the things may not happen. So a lot of the projects that we were discussing took a long time to even start. And some never even started, right? Even until like now that I was there 2012. So it was so many years ago, right? But that's where I understand that every country politically is very different. Like you learn in school about, you need to study the political environment and legal environment. But it's only when you are there, then I really learned the hard way to understand that, wow, you really do need to understand what's the political environment in the country,
system there,
the system there. And this really affects business, right? And to me, that was the biggest challenge because I spent many months there, I spent a lot of money there, but things were not moving. Yeah, and the most interesting part was my parents decided to come to Laos with me. My parents actually went to Laos
To support you or to see how's my daughter there?
to stay with me. Yeah. So life was very basic in Laos. So remember I told you the first trip I went to Chiang Mai, we were living in the kampong, right?
Yeah.
So when I was living in Laos, right, then I was in Luang Prabang. So it was also not like the Hill tribe kind of rural, but still the place that we're living, right, to get water is not piped. there's no pipe water. So you have to pump the water from the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
And when the water that comes from the ground, right, you have to store in the water tank. And basically, of course, there's no water heater, right? You're just basically showering, like scooping water. Really going back to the kampong days for my parents.
Yep.
Maybe even more kampong than
So do
the
they
place
appreciate or is nostalgia for them, to recall back their past?
So that's why, okay, if I were to look back, right, that was a time where I felt really bad about myself. Because like secondary school, you start to take things for granted. You take your parents for granted. Like whatever you want, they give to you. Like, and then they're just giving, right? And then like you never really appreciate. Like, so I would feel like when I was doing the business, a lot of things was about me. Like I wanted to make things happen. I wanted to make sure that I achieve this. But it was only about me. I didn't really think about like, what would be the consequences on my parents, on the people around me, right? And I think when they went to Laos and I made them suffer, literally suffer, like it was.
Why?
It was okay because I didn't. Okay, if I were to go alone, it's quite okay. Like I mean, I'm quite adventurous lah, and then I can go up to mountain and I live without electricity or water. It's quite okay. But I mean, my parents are like that time they were in their 50s, going to 60, right? I mean, they should be retiring and should be at a nice place. Don't go back to the kampong.
But they come in volunteering, right?
Oh, they.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's where I realized that your parents love you. Yeah, like no matter what, right? So much so that they're willing to sacrifice, right? Even at old age, right? They wouldn't complain. Like, so my parents actually know that I was quite stressed lah, because things were not moving, and then I was also getting quite upset. Yeah, with myself, the things that I do.
You're down that time.
Yeah, of course, very very down. I was like, I think like what you are moving ahead in your life, right? And then suddenly you like bump like. Why am I here? What am I doing here?
Yeah. After all the hard work.
After all the hard work, you're like, why?
And you don't expect it happens that way.
Yeah, and like why your parents are suffering? You should be earning money, right? That your parents don't have to suffer, right? But of course, my motivation when I was doing the business was not to make money. My motivation for doing ecotourism was to help people, right? So that was always my belief, but at the expense of my parents, like, and I look, wow, cannot, yeah. So I was like, okay, I have to stop, right? I had to do something, right? I need to be in a better place, and I need to spend time with my parents.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was really a moment where I realized that it was not about me; it was about my family. That was most important. Yeah.
So not mainly because of the business.
Yeah, it's not.
Despite the business didn't move well, right? So
Yeah. So this is the emotional part where I start to think about the.
how long did your parents stay with you over there?
They were there for 6 months.
6 months.
Yes. Yeah. So it was a very interesting time because.
And they financially also they have to support you in a way.
Okay, so we all went to Laos, right? So we rented our place in Choa Chu Kang, right? So it was great lah. So we had the income from there. That was always something that they were quite happy about because they could live overseas. So there was this amount of excitement. But like this kind of excitement cannot last for too long. So it was quite interesting because my parents were retired, right? So they were in a new country. It's kind of quite hard because they cannot speak the language. Okay. And then everywhere they go, I needed to accompany them. So I would say that that period, I spent the most amount of time with them. Yeah, because actually when we're in Singapore, right, we're all very busy with our own life. Like, I mean, I was busy with my school, the business, and I was out most of the time. So you never think so much about your parents or never think so much about them because in Singapore, they are very much able to take care of themselves. But when they are there, like, it's not so straightforward because it's a new place, they do not know anyone. So I have to be there for them, right? And then I felt like, wow, that was when I really grew that relationship with my parents.
Yeah, but despite feeling bad,
Oh, of course. That was the time where I felt the worst in my life in that sense, because I felt like, wow, you cannot do things at the expense of others. Yeah, so that was the biggest thing that I would say that down, like you went up, then after that, wow, it's a down moment. So, but my parents were really very good. They never ever complain. Yeah, never.
I believe they don't want to show their we can never know they feel sad too, right?
Yeah.
Towards how you feel, but then maybe they didn't show in based on their expression. Their expression, they don't want to see their daughters to be also sad during that
Correct,
moment
correct.
in time. You know,
Yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of thing. So that's
True,
why
true.
they are there
Yes.
to support you. Wow.
So, yeah. So I think what was nice was after that I decided that okay, maybe I should stop my business for a while.
All right.
And then I went to China. So
Wow.
I decided to. I was just looking at what should I do, right? But then like
It didn't
because
stop there.
It didn't stop there.
Continue your journey again.
yeah, I continued my journey because I felt like my parents wanted to go overseas, right? Like I mean 6 months, like a bit too fast for them to come back, right? Like because they really all ready to be out with me for long. It's not like they didn't think of like just being there for a few months or just like week. Because we rented our place here, so it was like we were all ready to be
To
out.
venture out.
Yeah,
right?
in
That
the
kind of
world,
thing.
right? Yeah. So okay lah. Then, but Laos was really a bit tough for them lah. The language, like even going to the wet market, right? Because my parents don't go to wet market in Singapore. They go to the supermarket. So when they go to the wet market, right? Like my mom, right? Every time I bring her, so I had to go with her every day, because we don't have a big fridge, right? And it's not like supermarket. You buy, you can store things. When she go there, it's like all fresh, right? Like the people were really like chopping and everything, right? She go to the market, right? She'll be lost, She do not know what to buy.
Because maybe he's not used to it in a way.
Not
right?
used to it. Then every time like I go there already, then okay, what should we buy? Then she really do not know. Then but it's not like I can leave her there, right? Because she doesn't know how to speak and doesn't know how to buy, right? So every time I go there, right, she'll be lost lah. So we're like, okay, maybe we go somewhere else. And then I was very lucky, right? Then I applied different things and I got the opportunity to go to China. There was this scholarship. Okay, then I'll just.
Which year is that?
It's a Chinese government scholarship.
Yeah, which year is that?
That was 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went to China from 2013 to 2015. Yeah, so that was another great part of my life, right? Because I felt like, I was always so busy. I didn't have time with my family. So when I went to China, right, it was really, again, I had that new experience. So sometimes it's really amazing, right? When a door closes on you, right, you'll be sad, right? But because sometimes if you keep knocking, right, then of course you cannot keep going lah. So you have to stop and pause and then find new opportunities, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was when I start to open that new door and found that new opportunity, right? And that was a great time that I have. I really enjoyed my time in China. So to me, I really enjoyed all this exposure, and I was also still representing Singapore to the Commonwealth, to ASEAN. So I continued to go a lot of conferences, even I was overseas. So I was still flying to like different places. So when my parents were in China, it's also safer lah. Like they could.
So they stayed there throughout your studies? 2 years there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they accompanied me. So we were together.
Wow.
Overseas.
Which part of China, Cindy?
Oh, I was in Wuhan.
All right.
Yeah. Not by coincidence, but that time when I tell people I go to Wuhan, right? Nobody know what is Wuhan. Yeah, now I say Wuhan.
Everybody knows. It's a very sensitive word, no?
It is. But when I went to Wuhan, nobody knew. But it was great. Like I really enjoyed my time in China. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then 2 years there. After that, you follow up. You come back to Singapore.
Yeah. Then after that, I came back to Singapore. Finally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Singapore then,
In Singapore, it was.
I believe you help with the youth. You share effort with the SG Animal in a way.
Yeah. I was involved in a lot of things. So, okay. So I think one of the things that I realized was that experience when I really stopped and let go, right? And then that taught me a lot of things, lah. You don't need to. I think it's very natural, right? We would like to be proud of the things that we do, and we have a lot of pride, and we tend to hold on to the things, and we don't want to let go, right? But I was very appreciative that maybe it was just that very big failure that I felt like, it's time that I need to let go and just restart something, right? So when I came back again to Singapore, then again the question is, do I go back to my business, the ecotourism, or do I move on, right?
Yeah.
So I had a lot of conversations with my friends who were still with me doing the business on the side.
Yeah.
And we continue to support one another. So I felt like we decided to keep it as something that we're passionate about. So as a passion project. And then of course myself, I felt like there were a lot more things that I could do. So I was given the opportunity to teach. Yeah, so I actually went to teach.
Okay.
So I was teaching at the Polytechnic, and I think it was good because I never worked for someone. Because as an entrepreneur, you work for yourself, right?
Yeah.
But when you work for yourself, you cannot learn because you
No, I believe it's hard to set our own KPIs if we work with our own self.
Yeah.
And then we work with others, that is always a target that you and you see your improvement from
correct.
there, right?
And then because when you're out of part of a bigger organization, right, you learn the structure.
Yeah.
What is the way to scale and you see, when I was running my business, right, it was a startup, right, and I it always was around like I must be there, then my business will work.
Yeah.
But then when I went to work, like even in the Polytechnic, right, I learned that no one is indispensable, right, because you need to create a structure such that even if this staff leaves, right, does not mean that the organization cannot run. The whole business or the whole organization should still run if you have established the right system. So to me, I think that was a very good journey as a transition.
What do you teach at Poly?
I teach entrepreneurship.
Wow! So the same trade,
same
experience,
trade.
and share knowledge.
Yeah, so in a sense, for me, honestly, I would say that I was not an established entrepreneur, but I went through that journey, right? And I wanted my students to also learn from my experience.
Yeah.
I felt like, it was very real, like, when I started my business, and I hope that my students are encouraged that as a young person, right, you don't have to fear, and it's good to start young, because when you start young, right, there was a lot of things that are very valuable, because when you're young, right, people give you discount, like in a good way also,
true.
And then they're willing to guide you.
Yeah.
But when you're old and you still make the same mistake, people may not be so forgiving lah. Right, so I think when I started my business, I was young, but people were generally forgiving because they see that you're still like, wow, only 20, okay, I give you a chance. You
are learning.
I'm learning. They let me give the chance to learn. Yeah, and then I learned, but I realized that I was only able to learn when I made mistake lah. But sometimes you probably also can learn when you see how other people do their business, how they set up things, right? So that's how I learned, by being in an organization. But at the same time, I teach my students and encourage them to feel free to start. Doesn't matter your age, it's okay. Yeah.
So the encouragement is there for them. I mean, based on their experience itself, it's just to reflect them that, hey, look, you can start anything with your business. Do not worry. There is obstacle, but then definitely there will be always a solution to it, right? And you need to analyze it.
Yeah. Correct. So that was good for me, like because I always enjoy working with the young people. I mean, I'm still a youth, right? Thankfully, but it's always about, to me, developing young people is very important. And I feel that because, like, as I shared with you, right, my own experience, right, if I didn't go to Chiang Mai, I would say that, like, I would take things for granted, like, because water, something so basic, right? If I didn't go to Laos, right, and then like having that whole journey with my parents, now I wouldn't learn that it's so important. Like, family is always most important. So I would say that sometimes your experiences shape who you are, and then and to me, like, I want my students to explore. Yeah.
You used to be a youth leader, right?
Still a youth leader.
Still a youth leader. Oh yeah. Okay.
35.
You lead a youth team in Keat.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So I mean, very nice. Like the chairman now, Malik, right? I mean, we have been volunteering. and Chng also, right? We've been volunteering since we are teens. So when we were like 17, 18, right? And then now we are still in the youth group, and now we call ourselves the youth network.
Yeah.
And it's great lah. So I feel like it's something to me that is very important about my life right now is always my family, my community, and of course my country. Yeah. So I think whatever I want to do, I want to contribute a little bit to all these aspects that are important to me and my life. Yeah.
So what is your message to all the youth out there? You know, being experienced in your journey from your childhood, you know, and you involve yourself in business, and subsequently you come back to your origin state.
Yeah, I think my encouragement is explore life, right? Find your passion, because to me, actually, I'm still finding things in life, and but to me, when I do things that I'm passionate about, right, it is really fun and it's really amazing. Like when you do things that you like, right, you realize there's no resistance. So imagine, right, why we watch show and then like we can watch non-stop, right? Because basically we are enjoying the experience, right? We don't stop. But let's say if you attend a class and maybe just for like 15 minutes you cannot concentrate. Yeah, but you watch show, like, it can be like, maybe some people can even watch like a few hours over the night, right? But you cannot sleep, right? You feel like you have the energy, right? And that is the thing, is that when you're doing something that you're passionate about, there is no resistance. And when there's no resistance, right, you actually keep going, right? But of course, something that I also learned for myself, right? Passion, you can actually do things that you're passionate about in different ways, right? I mean, there's always an importance to have a balance in your life, right? So you cannot like sacrifice everything for your passion. It still needs to have a balance, because I mean, in my experience, that's where I learned the hard way lah. So and I'm appreciative now, because I will make sure that the things that I'm passionate about, but I also have things that I'm able to sustain myself as my income, to be able to take care of my parents, take care of my responsibilities in a family, and having that balance, and don't have to feel too stressed when the thing that you're doing doesn't work. You can always find new ways to pursue your passion. And that's how, for me, my passion is always about working with people, like you said, right, working with young people. And I find it by working in different ways, working with young people.
I believe is that passion will bring you happiness, but you need to find your happiness, yourself. There is different people have different kind of happiness, and how you get, but definitely you have to find to yourself what really make you happy.
Yes.
It's a very simple thing.
Yes.
Come back to the first statement that we say, don't worry, be happy, right? That kind of thing. Well, Cindy, it is a great pleasure having you at Bilik Kaca at Keat, right? But one burning question.
Yes.
How do you look yourself for your ideal partner?
Wow, that's a good question. I really never think about it. I think I would want someone who probably is able to challenge my ideas, challenge my thoughts, and of course, because I like to do a lot of things, right? Like, and I think I would want someone to be able to challenge my thinking. So I think that would be the main criteria. Yeah. So quite easy. I hope. Okay.
Hey Cindy, I think before we depart ourselves, I have something for you from the team. This is the Bilik Kaca at Keat t-shirt.
Thank you. Wow, it's so nice. Right, I'm glad that now we are having our own t-shirt. Yeah, and also our own brand. Cool. Yeah, I will wear this at the next show. And yay!